All right, we are live. This is Soundbooth Theater Live, and these are the cold reads for Chrysalis 6. I have to remember what the. Oh, yeah. Antvance into the unknown. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm really excited to get back into this series. Chrysalis is one of my favorites to narrate, period. It's super high energy, optimistic, fast paced, and I just absolutely love doing Anthony's voice. He's so much fun. I actually most of my practice when I first started using this voice, it was Joe from The Stars Have Eyes. By the way, go to soundbooth.app. Pick up either the app on iOS or Android. That is our personal distribution platform, and there you can find Garralosh, a short story for Chrysalis that's absolutely free, narrated by Annie Ellicott. And if you want to pick up something from us directly and just check out our platform, I'd really appreciate it. The Stars Have Eyes is also on there. That's a book by Neven Ilyev, and we did a full cinematic audio of that. And Joe is the main character of that, and basically that's where I started this voice. But they're pretty different characters. I think Joe is a bit more of a doofus, a bit slower, and just kind of a chill guy, whereas Anthony is just super excited about almost everything that comes across his way. So I'm really excited to get back into this, guys. It's been too long. So in order to compensate a little bit, I will be narrating Chrysalis 6 and 7 back to back. So I hope you guys are ready for a full. I mean, these are pretty long books usually. So this might be a full 2 months of Chrysalis, or not 2 months, full month of Chrysalis recording. So remember, if you are here in the cold reads, I only do the first 30% or so on YouTube. And once we publish to Audible, the YouTube videos will be gone. So don't delay. If you can't make it to a stream, make sure to watch it afterwards. They do get saved to our YouTube channel after these streams happen. But after that first 30%, I will be continuing to narrate Chrysalis on Discord, on the Soundbooth Theater Discord. So if you go to our Discord, you can find my booth, and that's where I'll be. So, all right, let's see who all is in the audience right now. We got Soapbox Gamer, Kimberly, Bill Underbridge, Frank Moore, Nicholas, Devtron. Let's see, Joel. Joel is here. Oh, by the way, more free stuff on Soundbooth. The first story from A Wrinkle and Crime, Pluck and Cover, is on soundbooth.app as well. It's, I think, 3 hours. Let me look at that. Hey, we don't have a link here, or we don't have a link here on the website. We'll need to get that corrected. But yeah, it should be something like 3 hours long. Let me go ahead and tell people. But yeah, we'll be putting out another episode every week for this series, narrated by Ryan Reed and Jessica Threet, myself, and I think one other person. Do we have one other person on this one? Where's all the featured? Oh, here we go. And Justin Thomas James, of course. We're backing him up. Ryan did a fantastic job, and it's been amazing how excited Ryan has been through this whole process of narrating this audiobook series. It's basically, I think we're going to be fixing that, fixing the length issue. It looks like it's an issue for all of our stuff, so that needs to be fixed. You guys need to know how long these things are. Yeah, it's about a zombie cosmetologist, a zombie who knows how to do makeup because he has to do it constantly to make himself look normal. But he also does makeup for the stars, and he gets wrapped up in some murder mystery mayhem. So go ahead and check that out as well. First story is free. All right. Who else is in the audience? We have Burritos Yum Yum. We have Henry Langwind. We have Rooster Jazz, Ross, Rescore. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me as I kick back up the Chrysalis 6 machine. Let me see if I can. So I'll be working. I very recently just got a new teleprompter, and so that's what I'll be narrating through for these cold reads. You guys let me know how you feel about it. You can see a little bit of the glare because we're dealing with mainly black background, but we still have white text, and it's rather thick. So you're going to see just a little bit of a halo here on my face. Let me know, guys, if you think that's too annoying to deal with, and I'll switch back to my normal narration habits. But I just want to get more practice with this teleprompter stuff, and also it makes it look like I'm looking at you guys while I'm narrating, or at least above you or something. So let me know if that's disturbing and not something you like to watch. All right, so let's get some hydration in, and let's get ready to start some Chrysalis. Hey, Alexis, first time joining a stream. Thanks for coming. Oh. Got a set. Boom. Got to set a bunch of my hotkeys here. All right. And we're good to go. All right. Chrysalis 6. I keep forgetting what the name of it is. Antvance into the Unknown. By the way, just make sure to check the description below if you want links to Chrysalis, if you want the Kindle edition of this. Tons of links down there. The Patreon for Mr. Rhino Z, the author. All sorts of goodies in the description. Chapter 1. The Breaking Wave. The process of peeling or folding dungeon veins in order to create low mana density zones within the dungeon was possibly the most important technique developed in the history of sapient habitation of the world below. You guys hear that thunder? World below. I wonder if I can save that. Of the world below. Yeah, right below. Right before. Yeah. World below. World below. Without this method, it would be difficult to live at any depth during times of normal mana concentration. During a wave, it would become impossible to exist, as any settlement would be forced into a constant state of warfare as monsters leap from the walls, roof, and floor. Exist as any settlement would be exist as any settlement. There we go. And let's make the text a little bit bigger. There we go. Slightly more glare there. Sorry about that. Not a different booth, just using a different camera. Though expensive, labor-intensive, and requiring specific materials to achieve, the technique has been a foundational pillar of every major city and gathering place within the dungeon, even in the upper strata. The method itself makes use of the dungeon veins' own behavior. In the upper strata. The method itself makes use of the dungeon veins' own behavior, wherein they invade and extend themselves into every available space. Evidence exists that societies were performing the folding technique during the latter stage of the rending, as the various surviving empires and militaries began to extend their reach into the lower levels. It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was derived separately by each, but those who were able to first grasp the process and make use of it. Let's try that again. But those who were, or if the method, It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was derived separately by each, but those who were able to first grasp the process and make use of it. It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was derived separately by each, but those who were able to first grasp the process and make use of it enjoyed a significant advantage in the territory. Okay. Let's make sure I got breath in me, and also I forgot to share screen. And let's do this. There we go. One more time. But those who were able... It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was derived separately by each, but those who were able to first grasp the process and make use of it enjoyed a significant advantage in the territorial... My goodness. Let's work out the kinks, guys. It isn't known if the factions spread the knowledge amongst themselves or if the method was derived separately by each, but those who were able to first grasp the process and make use of it enjoyed a significant advantage in the territorial struggle that followed. Excerpt from page 25 of Territorial Disputes and Sovereignty in the Dungeon by Cicero. Okay, it looks like this is a third-person chapter, so I'm going to go back and re-record the chapter heading.
Chapter 1. The Breaking Wave.
Chapter 1. The Breaking Wave. Half, 1, 2, boom. Tungstan's brain spun with a heady combination of exhaustion, exhilaration, grief, relief, and worry. There was so much work for the Carver cast to do and so little time in which to accomplish it, she honestly didn't believe there was much chance to complete it in time. There was so much work for the Carver cast to do and so little time in which to accomplish it, she honestly didn't believe there was much chance to complete it in time. What she needed to know yesterday was exactly how much they could get done and exactly what state the nest's defenses would be in by the time the wave hit for real.
How long until the gate is ready to go?
She asked, with as much patience as she could muster. The team in front of her launched into a long and detailed explanation of the structural integrity of the gate, the need to forge new brackets and anchor them to the wall, the reshaping and compacting that needed to be done to the rock, until Tungsten cracked. Let me try that again. The need to forge... The team in front of her launched into a long and detailed explanation of the structural integrity of the gate, the need to forge new brackets and anchor them to the wall, the reshaping and compacting that needed to be done to the rock, until Tungstant cracked.
Rock.
Until Tungstant cracked.
Cracked.
So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my headphones for this. Sorry guys, I'm just going to do that for now, just for ease of use. But whenever I need to replay something, I will switch it back to the speaker so you guys can hear that. Okay. What's up, Jared Cannon? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Just estimate a time!
She barked.
I know there are challenges, I know it's complicated, and I know you're working as hard as possible. Just give me your best guess, please!
The lead carver on the job sized up the council member, her antennae scratching the top of her head. The lead carver on the job sized up the council member, her antennae scratching... The lead carver on the job sized up the council member, her antennae scratching the top of her head.
It would take days to get the gates refitted in any proper way,
The ant said.
There's just too much damage to the brackets, and getting new ones fitted can't be rushed.
That was far too long. Monsters would be storming up the tunnel in less than an hour. The carver clacked her mandibles to settle the uneasy team around her.
Instead, we go fast and nasty. Stand up what's left of the old gates, patch them up as best we can, and mould the rock around them to hold them in place. It's bad work, but we can get it done in a few hours. Worry about the rest when we get a chance.
Tungstant and the other carvers bristled at the suggestion, and even the one suggesting it looked somewhat disgusted. If there was one thing the entire cast hated, it was sloppy craftsmanship, and that extended to all circumstances and projects, even emergencies. In this situation, though...
Get it done as fast as you can,
Tungstant told the team.
If you need help from the mage cast, make sure you put in a request quickly. They've been cooking up something big over there, and you'll need to get in early if you want the extra help.
Bill Underbridge says, probably will need an ELLC book to confirm if eye contact makes it weird. That's funny. By the way, guys, just a reminder, all these ant voices are not going to be me, so that's why I'm not too worried about I'm not too worried about making mistakes. These are all going to be Annie, and I'm leaving notes for her. One of the carvers flicked an antenna dismissively.
They can't handle earth magic as well as we can. I'm sure we'll be fine. Fast work, not good work. Fast work, not good work.
Tungstant grimaced which, for an ant, involved flexing the mandibles and tilting the antennae at an unsightly angle.
If the extra mage support will get the job done faster, that's what we care about right now. We can do emergency patchwork after the fact if necessary.
They all grumbled, but acceded to the wisdom of the decision in the end. A renewed frenzy took over the worksite as the new direction was adopted and the carvers got to work establishing the leverage they needed to get the gates standing again. With that relatively minor fire put out, Tungstant was able to rush back into the nest, already considering the next emergency to handle. Right, the council meeting. Suddenly, remembering... Let's see. And let's get a bunch of grumbling. Let's duplicate this one, rename it Chick 4, and choose a different color. Let's say this one.
Ugh, all right. So nasty. It'll have to do. Ugh.
Suddenly remembering that she had that chore to deal with, she sharply changed direction, making her way... Suddenly remembering that she had that chore to deal with, she sharply changed direction, making her way to the designated... Fucking shit. Suddenly remembering that she had that chore to deal with, she sharply changed direction, making her way to the designated council chamber as fast as she could. A part of her was irritated at the idea that important work was being delayed for a meeting of all things, but she understood the necessity. Without proper coordination, the complex machinery of the colony couldn't function. Properly, especially in a crisis like this. Most of the time, the colony ran itself just fine. Her siblings were perfectly capable of making decisions regarding what needed doing and how, but sometimes the overall macro plan needed to be considered, and the council suited that function. There we go. She raced in to find most of the members already gathered. Even the eldest was there, although they were still somewhat lacking in the leg department. She rushed to her seat, and no sooner had she plopped herself down, her thorax resting comfortably in the carved grooves, then Cobalt flicked. She rushed to her seat, and no sooner had she plopped herself down, her thorax resting comfortably in the carved grooves, then Cobalt flicked a quick query her way.
How's things looking with the gate? How's things looking with the gate?
She scented quietly.
Not great,
she replied, just as softly.
I think we'll be able to hack together a rough solution in a few hours that should hold for now.
The other carver pulled a face, and Tungstant had to stifle a laugh. Some things were consistent for all of them.
I know we're all very busy,
called Coolant from her end of the table.
So let's try and get through this as fast as we can. Before we start, is there anything you would like to say to the group, eldest?
All 20 members turned their eyes to the eldest, who fidgeted on the chair from the sudden attention.
Me? Say something. Anything? Like what? Whatever you want,
Coolant replied, a little exasperated.
I suppose I can.
The eldest said, and then paused, clearly gathering their thoughts.
First thing I want to say is that I'm proud of you all. First thing I want to say is that I'm proud of all of you. Yeah, you've done a great job, and as a family, we've come so far since the time you were born. I know I could never do the things that all of you do every day, and I guess I just wanted to say how proud I am. Every member of the colony is incredible, and so are you. Don't forget it.
The last sentence was a little firmer than the others, and each member felt an implicit threat, as if they would suffer dire consequences should they dare forget how much the eldest was pleased with them.
Second thing is, the upcoming wave is going to be a challenge, obviously. There's going to be a huge number of monsters banging on the gates and flooding our territory. It's going to be hard and exhausting, and so soon after we just overcame the greatest threat we've ever faced. The creatures we'll see, probably from the third stratum, are going to be stronger than anything we've encountered before. But I want us to look at this wave in a different way. For all the challenges we'll face, this wave could be an opportunity. More monsters means more experience, more biomass. The last wave forced us to escape the surface. The last wave forced us to escape to the surface because we weren't... The last wave forced us to be... The last wave forced us to escape to the surface because we weren't strong enough to hold our ground, and even then, we were able to farm and benefit a great deal. This time, we have nests, we're deep, we have tens of thousands of members. We can do so much more than we did before. We're not going to retreat. We're going to step forward. This wave is going to give us cover from the Legion and the Golgari, and we need to use the time to get so strong they won't even bother trying to mess with us. That's all I wanted to say.
There was silence around the table as the eldest settled back into their seat. The eldest had gotten steadier the more they spoke, and in the end had quite clearly detailed the direction they envisaged the colony should go in. The eldest had gotten steadier the more they spoke, and in the end had quite clearly detailed the direction they envisaged the colony should go in. Tungstant found the message inspiring. Instead of a threat, this was a chance to become so strong that even the Legion would be too hesitant to attack. If that happened, they would get even more. If that happened, they would get even more space, and then use that space to grow even more powerful. The glorious future of the colony was shining brightly in her mind, and in the minds of all the others who sat around that table, except the eldest, who was waggling the stump of a leg back and forth. Boom. Chapter done. That's one thing I really love about this series. Another thing that makes me thrilled to get on it. And this is a note for any authors out there. It is so good to have like 10 chapters that are 10 minutes or less, especially all of them, because it makes me feel like I'm just zooming through the audiobook. It's just, there's something about the energy. There is a certain amount of energy involved in maintaining a scene in your mind. Maintaining, the illusion and sticking with it and expressing myself within that world, I guess. And every time there's a chapter break, it's like, oh, I get a break. My brain gets to let go for a second before I pick up the next chapter. So, no, 2-hour chapters are awful. How many pages is 10 minutes? Well, let's see. How many pages was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pages. Now, when they're first-person chapters, you can probably fit like 5 pages into a 10-minute chapter. And keep in mind, these are like Microsoft Word 4 pages. Chapter 2. Turning over a new leaf. Discussions progressed at a rapid pace after my initial, rather embarrassing speech. There were a ton of things on the go around the colony, and still too much we didn't know. The status of the two satellite nests was still unknown. How exactly we were going to handle training the surge of hatchlings heading up to the surface, the huge number of wounded that still needed caring for. Several things were easy to take care of. We made sure to issue an emergency recall. We made sure to issue an emergency recall of all aphids who were currently deployed in the expanse within our territory. It wouldn't be safe for them to remain in place during the wave, and I'm fairly confident most were brought back to the nests before the siege anyway. Prioritizing the expansion of the colony's metallurgic capabilities is a no-brainer, and the carvers had been directed to get back to this process as soon as the defences are done. Cobalt and Tungstant had worked with their cast to design a truly ambitious system for the delivery. Cobalt and Tungstant had worked with their cast to design a truly ambitious system for the delivery, sorting and smelting of ores that will increase the capacity of the main nest to produce ingots by 10-fold should it get off the ground. Fuck me, that's long. Cobalt and Tungstant had worked with their cast to design a truly ambitious system for the delivery, sorting... Cobalt and Tungstant had worked with their cast to design a truly ambitious system for the delivery, sorting and smelting of ores that will increase the capacity of the main nest to produce ingots by 10-fold should it get off the ground. Securing a supply of raw ore will be difficult during the wave, but it's important that the colony work to ensure we come out of the onslaught in the best possible position. In the middle of discussions, I drop a bomb. I'm not certain that Tier 3 is enough for our graduates anymore. My pronouncement is met with a stunned silence, and I quickly raise my antennae in a... My pronouncement is met with a stunned silence, and I quickly raise my antennae in a placating gesture. I know. Getting so many ants to Tier 3 so quickly is already a massive task. I know. Getting so many ants to Tier 3 so quickly is already a massive task. There already aren't enough cores to go around, biomass is in constant demand, and as the number of satellite nests increases, so will the number of hatchlings in need of training. I get it. The challenges are real. I want to ask you, though, do you really believe that Tier 3 is enough to contend with what we're facing right now, and are likely to face in the future? The council members all consider my words, and Victor pipes up.
From the perspective of a general, a Tier 4 in the warrior caste is more than twice as useful as a Tier 3. The evolutions of the general caste have better fighters, provide more beneficial auras, and even their raw stats make them better planners. Soldiers, it goes without saying just how much a soldier can gain in terms of defensive ability, draw strength, regeneration, and speed in that one evolution. Scouts, and I'm sure you would agree, Burke and Wills are much more capable at the 4th tier. Getting them to Tier 5 would be far better than getting them to Tier 4, but that doesn't mean it's feasible. Propellant objected. Propellant objected. Propellant objected. Propellant objected. Propellant objected.
Frank Moore says, "How goes the LitRPG Con prep?" Pretty good, guys. Oh, by the way, that's a good reminder. Don't forget, go to litrpgcon.com if you have not already picked up tickets for LitRPG Con. That is July 18th through 20th. I will be there. Matt Dinneman will be there, and tons of the biggest LitRPG authors in the world are going to be there. Alaron Kong, Dakota Kraut, James Hunter, Michael Chatfield, Benjamin Curie. I could keep going on. Travis Baldry, also narrators, Andy Parsnow, Annie Ellicott, Justin Thomas James. Pretty much the entire Soundbooth Theater crew is going to be there. It is our convention. It is the first LitRPG convention ever, and I can't wait to see a ton of you guys there. Also, it looks like we're gonna have new Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion cassettes to sell. We're gonna have new Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon cassettes to sell, and we're gonna have double LPs of the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel soundtrack. That is, I'm so excited for that, guys. So make sure that if you haven't gotten your tickets already, that you get them now before it's too late. Make sure that if you know anybody else that loves LitRPG, that they know about this as well. Share that litrpgcon.com web. They need to be there July 18th through 20th in Denver at the Grand Hyatt.
Obviously, a mage is far better at controlling spells with an extra evolution under their belt, but the bottom line is experience and cause. Where are you going to get them from? If we end up pushing more ants to evolve faster without providing the necessary cause to increase the available evolutionary energy, then we'd be crippling rather than helping ourselves. I agree with that point. In fact, I want us to put a higher priority on maxed cause for every evolution as well. More silence meets my second announcement. Look, I rest my two antennae on the table, much like a human putting their elbows down and steepling their fingers. We aim to get smarter and better in every aspect of colony life, all the time. Am I right? The other council members can only agree. The other council members can only agree. Raising the brood to be as strong as possible is the most fundamental and important duty this colony undertakes. There is nowhere and nothing more deserving of innovation and improvement than this. We need more experience. Let's think about how to make it happen. We need more cause. Let's explore ways we can make it happen. The brood tenders have put an enormous amount of work into their curriculum and their methods of instruction for the hatchlings, and they haven't stopped trying to improve. It's the rest of us who need to lift when it comes to supplying the raw materials. During the wave, I don't think this is going to be much of a problem, but going forward, I think this is a change we have to make.
There are going to be narration socks. There will be vendor booths.
The two brood tenders on the council, Verisant and Florence, both clack their mandibles in gratitude for my acknowledgement of the hard work they and their entire cast have put in, something the rest of the council immediately echoes. After more discussions and appointing of work, the council breaks up and everyone rushes back to doing what needs to be done. Everyone has their role and their own special task assigned to them, even me, which is why I find myself outside the nest looking curiously at the overflowing vegetation that has taken over this section of dungeon. Scouts had reported the strange phenomenon, as well as the presence of unknown creatures lurking amidst the growth not long after the Scouts had reported the strange phenomenon, as well as the presence of unknown creatures lurking amidst the growth not long after the siege lifted. Naturally, the council chose to send me to stick my nose in and investigate. Using all the senses I have available, I step slowly toward the abundant plant life that has seemingly sprung from nowhere, though I order my 3 loyal pets to stay back. This stuff could be poisonous, or worse. I'm getting a really weird feeling from the plants. Not entirely sure if it's the mana flow or the way they look. But something about it just rubs me the wrong way, and I find myself very reluctant to go any farther. Good thing, too, because only a few moments later, a gigantic creature who looks like 5 tree trunks arranged in a vaguely humanoid shape stops around the corner and approaches. At first, I want to give the monster both barrels of a fireball, except slipping along in his wake are creatures that I recognise much more clearly. Branchies! What the heck are Branchies doing down here in the dungeon? Almost eagerly, I spin together a mind bridge and reach out, only to find another mind probe toward mine first. Almost eagerly, I spin together a mind bridge and reach out, only to find another mind probe toward mine first. Hello? Starting out with a classic. Alright, who is this?
Greetings, friend insect. It is nice to see that someone has come out to see us at last. Greetings, friend insect. It is nice to see that someone has come out to see us at last.
Come on, man, giant tree thing. We've got stuff to deal with in the nest. Give us a break. We've got stuff to deal with in the nest. Give us a break.
I apologize if there has been any offence. Smooth.
Smooth, diplomatic, and most importantly, smooth. Like a buttered snail surfing in a tub of grease.
There's been a great deal to do within the nest, and the scouts reported the presence of this... Oh, wait, no.
Okay, that means this is supposed to be him. Okay, this is supposed to be...
I apologize if there has been any offence.
I'm sticking with the smooth, buttery delivery for the tree thing. $2,500-ish what, Bill? Word count? Oh, for a chapter. Yeah, about that.
Smooth, diplomatic, and smooth, diplomatic, and most importantly, smooth. Like a buttered snail surfing in a tub of grease. There's been a great deal to do within the nest, and the scouts reported the presence of this plant life not that long ago. The giant wooden guy waves a creaking arm.
No offence was caused.
The mind that touches mine is strange.
Fuck off.
The mind that touches mine is strange and complex. It feels deep and old, yet at the same time young and childlike.
We wanted to remain to speak with your people before we retreated back to our grove. I am a grove keeper, and I can better keep my people safe in the seat of my mother's power.
And oops.
Feels like there's a lot to unpack there. Your people? Are you referring to the people behind you? I think I met some of them while I was up on the surface. Not these people exactly, you know, but people. Those giant eyes. Something happening outside. Those giant eyes blink slowly.
Yes. A small group of the Bruanchi had made their home in the Lyrian forest. They told the mother about you, and she has extended her roots through this area in an attempt to seek you out. In the end, it was pure happenstance that you stumbled into one, and she was able to determine your position.
Branchy, eh? How convenient. Wait, his mother has roots, as in literally a tree. So, your mother was looking for us? Can I ask why? Please don't be a psycho killer tree. Please don't be a psycho killer tree. I do not need that in my life right now.
Because we were able to recognize you for what you were. A traveler from another world. Just as she was.
Another reincarnated soul? I'm shocked. How about that? Wait a minute. All of us transplanted souls are a bit... on the iffy side, sanity-wise. Might as well ask a probing question. Would you say your mother is... how to phrase this? A rational and calm sort of individual? The giant tree person hesitates, and the leaves around me start rustling rather loudly. Actually, it almost sounds like laughter.
No,
comes the answer.
No, I would not. No, I would not.
Next chapter. Just want to remind you guys to check out soundbooth.app. There's a free Chrysalis story called Garralosh there if you want to hear more about the origins of the monster Garralosh. I believe book 3 is where she was mostly. Narrated by Annie Ellicott, and it's free, guys. Just go check it out. It's easy. I think it's about an hour long.
Chapter 3. Moving on up. Moving on. Moving on up. Moving on, etc. My conversation with the Bronchi Grovekeeper is disappointingly short, but enlightening. There is precious little time before the wave reaches a full-throated roar and the tree people don't want to be caught out in the open. Let's just start from the top there. My conversation with the Bronchi Grovekeeper is disappointingly short, but enlightening. There is precious little time before the wave reaches a full-throated roar, and the tree people don't want to be caught out in the open. Apparently, the mother tree isn't able, or doesn't want to, maintain all the vegetation she grew through the tunnels over the duration of the wave. I was a little shocked to learn that every leaf, vine, and flower I saw was in fact an extension of the one tree rather than separate plants. Since she's a monster, like me, I wonder what tier it takes to become powerful enough that you can essentially extend yourself through huge swathes of dungeon at will. I could have asked, of course, but that might have been a bit rude. If I ever get close enough to the tree herself, I might be in a position to ask a few more pointed questions. With the Grovekeeper and his charges With the Grovekeeper and his charges returning to their grove, there isn't much else for me or my pets to do but help out with the defence of the colony. The wave is just about to break, and I can feel the heat sources in the walls constantly building. At this stage, we only have a few minutes before they start pouring out. Already, the spawn rate in the dungeon has gone crazy, and the tunnels are beginning to fill with the roars, shrieks, and clashes of monstrous combat. I remember this noise, and none too fondly. Better get used to it, since it will be weeks before we get to enjoy anything like quiet again. Better get used to it, since it will be weeks before we get to enjoy anything like quiet again. All right, guys, we're going to split up and defend the nest. I'll take the spot in front of the damaged gate. I want Chrysalis to block the entrance to the tunnel that connects to the brood chambers. Invidia and Tiny can take the gate to the Golgari damaged. Nope. I'll take the spot in front of the damaged gate. I want Chrysalis to block the entrance to the tunnel that connects to the brood chambers. Invidia and Tiny can take the gate the Golgari damaged. Make sure as few monsters as possible get past you, understand? This will give the colony a little more time to finish organising the defences. They'll be busy cleaning up the monsters that spawn on the inside of the nest anyways. Chrysalis raises a tentative tentacle. Are you sure you'll be all right on your own, Master? Are you sure you'll be all right on your own, Master? You nearly died. Again. In the last battle. There's a certain intensity to the little blob of indescribable horror that sends a shiver down my non-existent spine. Yeah, she's not happy. I get it, and I understand what you're saying, Chrysalis. It was my fault that time. I got a bit carried away. Thankfully, we all survived and are healthy, so we can perform this duty. But... Chrysalis? I drew closer to look down at the anxiously wobbling blob. She stills, and I use an antenna to pass her on the... let's say, head. That hole is still being closed by the colony, and there's a chance that monsters will break through and attack the brood. We can't let that happen, no matter what. This is the most important position, and I only trust you to do it. You'll be able to make sure not a single monster gets through. Please, I'm counting on you to do this. The little ball vibrates as my words of praise pile up until she explodes. Of course, Master. I won't let any disgusting filth slip by. You can count on me. Crisis averted. The blob of impenetrable darkness wastes no time sinking into the shadows, and she's gone, making her way around to the other side of the nest where a mighty forest of barbed limbs will soon sprout. It's a little mean to manipulate Chrysalis out of being mad at me, but what I told her was the pure truth. She's much better suited to tackling huge numbers of relatively weak monsters. It's her specialty. With her guarding the tunnel dug by the hated worm, I won't have to worry. Tiny, Invidia, got any questions? Tiny looks at me, looks at Invidia, looks at his stomach, then back to me, all without a change of expression. Somehow it makes perfect sense. I think my brain is degenerating the more I interact with him. I don't know how you guys want to split up the biomass. Work it out between you. I will say, however, if you want more to eat, try not to explode as many monsters. That goes for both of you. Your full-strength punches are just as bad as Nvidia's explosions. You know that, right? Tiny was about to point and laugh at this demonic companion, but my admonishment wipes the smile from his face. He looks a little pensive as they make their way back through the nest to the other side. I can tell what he's thinking. He's trying to weigh up his love of food versus... I can tell what he's thinking. He's trying to weigh up his love of food versus his love of hitting things as hard as he can. I honestly don't know which urge will turn out to be the winner. He does need to make sure he gets the biomass he needs for his next evolution. He's a long way from the Tier 6 evolution, much as Chrysalis is, but it doesn't hurt to stack... He's a long way from the Tier 6 evolution, much as Chrysalis is, but it doesn't hurt to start racking up those points as early as possible. I've even got a lot of eating ahead of me, regardless of how quickly I can pile up the 7 levels I need. With my troops deployed, there isn't much for me to do except plant my butt in front of the destroyed gate and wait for the fireworks to start. My carapace is pretty much fully healed, so I'm not too worried. The monsters that will spawn around here are likely to be shadow beasts and the like, and only level 1 at that. As the heat signs grow stronger in the walls, I laboriously put together the omni-elemental construct, the stupid thing sitting like a lump of iron in my minds. Tell you what, I can't wait until I evolve and pump up my... I can't wait until I evolve and pump up my brain some more, then this thing won't be such a pain in the thorax. By the time I finish getting it ready, the monsters are already beginning to emerge. The distant din of combat grows louder by the second until the first monsters of the wave make themselves known. All along the tunnel, from the walls, floor and ceiling, a shower of dirt erupts as claws, heads, maws and monsters of all types erupt from the dungeon veins. The tunnel around me has as many as 30 monsters in it, each of them starving and enraged, drunk on the overflowing mana that birthed them. Without as Fuck. The tunnel around me has as many as 30 monsters in it, each of them starving and enraged, drunk on the overflowing mana that birthed them. Without a pause to catch their breath, they throw themselves at each other in a display of savage violence. Survival of the fittest is law in the dungeon, something no monster needs to be taught. A couple of the closer ones decide that I look like a juicy enough morsel to ignore this weaker prey. They charge, shadow flesh bulging and distending with the force of their roars. I idly spin together a few firebolts. Time to harvest a few skill levels.
Boom. Done. Love just running along. What time is it now? Let's see. All right, 1 hour, 3 chapters done. Excellent. Joel checked for me. Birth of the Beast, Garralosh Birth of the Beast is 38 minutes long. It's free, guys. Soundbooth.app. Go pick it up. Chapter 4. The Wonders of Science. They'd done it. After so much expended time and effort, they'd finally done it. The mage caste put themselves through the ringer during the siege and had battered their minds against the invaders. I think this is supposed to be third person. Chapter 4. The Wonders of Science. They'd done it. After so much expended time and effort, they'd finally done it. The mage caste put themselves through the ringer during the siege and had battered their minds against the invaders until they bordered on shattering. It proved to be a painful regime of brutal mental warfare, seemingly without end. Excuse me. What made things even more difficult for the brainy cast of spellslingers were the critical research tasks draining their numbers. The colony had decided that the gates and dungeon vein removal projects were so critical, so vital to the future success of their kind, that even the threat of imminent destruction wasn't enough to curtail the development of these techniques. Progress on the gates remained painfully slow. It was clear that higher-leveled specialists in both enchantment and the as-yet unseen space magic would be required to make significant headway. On the other hand, the teams assigned to reverse engineering the methods witnessed in the city of Riley had achieved a breakthrough. As jubilant as she was, Propellant couldn't help but look askance at the team of mages and carvers who'd worked together to make this possible. She studied the complex, almost wavy, interlocking series of walls.
And you're sure this is going to work?
She asked. One of the mages stepped forward, her antennae waving furiously.
Of course it's going to work, you old bat! What the heck do you think we've been doing down here while you...
With extreme speed, a team of previously stealthed ants... With extreme speed, a team of previously stealthed ants leapt from the ceiling and tackled the mage to the ground. Before anyone could think to intervene, the new arrivals had swarmed over the downed ant, expertly knocking her out with a precision bite to cut off circulation to her brain before the shadows enfolded them once more. In less than a second, they were gone, taking the furious, now knocked-out mage with them. The only sign of their presence was an ominously lingering pheromone message that hung in the air long after they were gone. The only sign of their presence was an ominously lingering pheromone message that hung in the air long after they were gone.
Sleep well,
was all it said. Even Propellant felt a chill run down her carapace at the display. The sleep monitors took their work deadly seriously. They were clearly starting to manage their evolutions and skills in a direction to better allow them to perform their role. Making them terrifyingly capable. The sudden disappearance of their colleague had an even greater effect on the rest of the researchers, their terror clear in every inch of their frames.
Just how long has it been since your team leader slept?
Propellant asked.
3 days,
stammered a carver.
And how long have you been awake?
The little ant trembled so violently, Propellant was worried her The little ant trembled so violently, Propellant was worried her exoskeleton was about to crack.
She's been awake for 2 days and 22 hours,
another team member helpfully supplied. Propellant clacked her mandibles.
Better get through this quick then. So, someone else this time, preferably someone not driven near delirious from lack of rest. Are you sure this is going to work?
The much smaller ants consulted amongst themselves before a pair stepped forward, one carver and one mage.
According to our calculations, there is a strong chance of success.
The mage spoke with crisp words.
Although we were unable to derive the exact method used in Riley, we believe this is as close as we can get to an approximate recreation.
Math. The council member tried not to be too repulsed by the sudden mention of calculations. That stuff was far more up Coolant's alley. She herself was firmly in the blow stuff up and think about it later school of magic. Whichever cursed fool on the surface had introduced the concept to the mage caste, Whichever cursed fool on the surface had introduced the concept to the mage... Whichever cursed fool on the surface had introduced the concept to the mage caste, it had spread like wildfire and split his siblings right down the middle. She turned to the carver.
What do you think?
The smaller ant rubbed one of the strange claws on her foreleg. The smaller ant rubbed one of the strange claws on her foreleg across the top of her head.
It's a buttload of work. Fine work at that. Whew. But it's held up in our tests so far. Only problem is, we haven't been able to try it on as large a surface area as the nest, so we can't be certain everything will be the same.
She didn't like the sound of that. Propellant wandered over to the mock-up the team had erected in the center of the room. Propellant wandered over to the mock-up the team had erected in the center of the room, trying to ignore the battles going on elsewhere in the chamber. Damn waves made it so hard to concentrate. It really was precise work. The team had created no fewer than 10 separate walls in a space less than a foot wide, each one folding back on the others in a pattern so complex it could pass for a magic construct. It was only possible to create such razor-thin walls and shape them in such a way by reinforcing and compressing them to a... It was only possible to create such razor-thin walls and shape them in such a way by reinforcing and compressing them to an absurd degree with magic. The level of earth magic on display was formidable. To replace the outer walls of an entire chamber with this layered wall formation would be a monstrous undertaking. They'd attempted to explain it to her. Something about guiding the veins, folding them, and then rolling them along predetermined channels of high mana sensitivity. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to her, but she hadn't spent weeks working non-stop to develop the method. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to her, but she hadn't spent weeks working non-stop to develop the method.
You've got the go-ahead. I want the egg-laying and brood chambers to be done... You've got the go-ahead,
she said.
I want the egg-laying and brood chambers to be done within 48 hours. We'll mobilize the entire mage caste and every carver with an earth magic skill or rank 4 or above.
The team went wild with joy, slapping each other with their... Let's do that real quick.
Yes! Great! For the colony!
The team went wild with joy, slapping each other with their antennae, high-fiving and clacking their mandibles with glee. Propellant watched them celebrate with a warm feeling until she noticed the shadows extending from the walls, drawing closer to the team. Propellant watched them celebrate with a warm feeling until she noticed the shadows extending from the walls, drawing closer to the team each second.
But...
she shouted, then immediately lowered the intensity of her scent.
But only after you rest. This work is too important to trust to tired minds. 6 hours for all of you, minimum. In the meantime, I'll start organizing the shifts and getting the ant power we need. Ah. Oh, all right. Oh, I hate sleep.
The team grumbled amongst themselves about the delay, but she paid them no mind, instead watching as the darkness. The team grumbled amongst themselves about the delay, but she paid them no mind, instead watching as the darkness began to recede back to the walls.
By the eldest,
She thought.
that's terrifying. Congratulations to all of you. This breakthrough will go down in history of the colony, and I believe the eldest will want to come and congratulate you personally on your achievement. Our whole family is proud of you.
The delighted team continued to celebrate and praise each other as they made their way to the mage torpor chambers, never realizing the dark shadows that trailed along behind them the entire way. Boom. Another chapter. Done. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I'm so excited to be back into the Chrysalis saddle. Like being, let's see. More third person. That's one thing I had a problem with in the last couple books. I just don't like doing the third person chapters. I prefer being Anthony the whole time. Hopefully it's not too much this time. But yeah, guys, if you haven't already listened to Chrysalis, make sure to check the description below. You can find the box set still on Audible of books 1 through 3. It's a great deal. 1 credit for 3 whole books, and I think it's like 40-something hours total. Let me see. 54 hours. 54 hours, 41 minutes. So almost 55 hours of content for 1 damn credit. So if you haven't already, pick up Chrysalis. It is a bunch of fun. Also, I haven't been watching the Instagram people. Rando Carlisian says, just curious, is there like a director or are there notes from the author about how to voice certain characters? No, I mean, there's stuff in the text, and that's about it. All right. What city is it in? Travis Roop asks. I'm not sure what he's asking. Oh, probably LitRPG Con. It's in Denver. LitRPGCon.com. Go check it out. Tickets still on sale. Underpants Dad. Completed audio. Excited to see the next one's progress. Yay. All right, cool. Thanks all you Instagrammers as well. I wish I could see your comments in the StreamYard channel, but unfortunately I have to go back and forth. Oh, there's plushies coming, Frank Moore says. That would be cool. I hope sometimes you get high and narrate your normal activities. No, I don't. I think when I get high, I just want to sit there and stare. Maybe read comics or play video games. Anyway, yeah, so if you haven't yet, go check out the box set of Chrysalis. That's on Audible. And if you want a little treat, go to soundbooth.app and pick up the Garralosh short story. That's for any of you who are already well into the story and want to learn more about one of the villains. That one's narrated by Annie Ellicott, who does all the female voices in this series. So, all right, Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Waves Gonna Wave. When word finally... That's a little snort. When word finally arrived from the satellite nests, the sense of relief in the colony was noticeable. Burke herself was the first to receive the message and made sure to pass it on as quickly as she could. The smaller nests had held up well, suffering no more than a few probing attacks intended to keep them in place. They hadn't been able to stock away biomass as the main nest had, though, the lack of food growing into a real problem over the course of the siege. Now that the wave was underway, the problem was in the process of rapidly rectifying itself. The eldest and their pets continued to guard the most vulnerable points of entry into the nest itself, whilst a flurry of activity continued behind them. Burke and Wills were everywhere, running messages, coordinating scouting parties, and doing the legwork that kept the colony running as one efficient unit. The two bumped into each other, sprinting in opposite directions down a long tunnel, and decided to take a short break to catch up on news.
I heard about the satellites. That's good to hear,
Will said.
From the sound of things, the Queens haven't been able to maintain production over there. Our need for graduated hatchlings is dire. We could double the number of scouts, and I'd still have the work for them to do,
Burke agreed.
But there's little we can do about it right now. Once the nests are secure, we can move forward from there. Agreed. Have you seen what the majors are up to in the brood chambers?
Burke indicated the negative, and Wills filled her in on the new technique and the massive scale of earthworks. Taking place in the heart of the nest.
That's a big deal, the scout clacked. If they can do that for the entire nest...
A roaring shadow beast erupted from the wall right between them. Reflexes and instincts highly trained, they turned as one and snapped at the creature, ending its existence in the dungeon as quickly as it had begun.
Things will get a lot easier to manage around here,
Burke finished.
From what I hear, the carvers are raving mad about it,
Will said.
The constant spawns are making it almost impossible to do any sort of industrial work. Their workshops are crowded as is, and now they need to cram soldiers into every nook and cranny to defend them. It's a mess.
The ants who focused their attentions on crafting were indeed being driven mad. Whole workshops were upended as monsters crawled out of the floor under their workstations, streamed out of the walls. Excuse me. Whole workshops were upended as monsters crawled out of the floor under their workstations. Whole workshops were upended as monsters crawled out of the floor under their workstations, streamed out of the walls, and generally made a mess of the fucking hell. Whole workshops were upended as monsters crawled out of the floor under their workstations, streamed out of the walls, and generally made a mess of the place as the soldiers and scouts charged in to battle them. The only group of production-style ants that weren't too perturbed by the whole thing were the core shapers. Maintaining their concentration was hard, but the never-ending monster spawns provided an endless stream of experience and biomass. Maintaining their concentration was hard, but the never-ending monster spawns provided an endless stream of experience and biomass for their weaker creations. If the mages were able to achieve what they'd set out to do, life in the nest might return to some semblance of normality. And that was only the beginning. In another section of the nest, Victor and Sloane huddled together, along with dozens of other high-level generals working together in teams. The enormous scale model of the section of dungeon they were in had been expanded to include every piece of new territory the colony had explored, and the two council members were busy identifying potential choke points, trying to anticipate The enormous scale model of the section of dungeon they were in had been expanded to include every piece of new territory the colony had explored, and the two council members were busy identifying potential choke points, trying to anticipate problems and organize the troops within the nest.
What's the status at the gate?
Sloane asked a passing scout.
The eldest is still there. Very little has managed to approach the gate itself.
The two generals breathed a sigh of relief. The eldest was buying them precious time to re-establish their defenses and to get some control back. They were determined to make the most of the opportunity, though it wouldn't last. How could it? Right now, the eldest and their guardians would be holding off the monsters with ease, since it was only level 1. Right now, the eldest and their guardians would be holding off the monsters with ease, since it was only level 1, tier... Right now, the eldest and their guardians would be holding off the monsters with ease, since it was only level 1, tier 1 creatures springing into the tunnels the moment they were spawned. Although the constant waves were draining, disrupting, and all-around irritating, the colony had grown to a point where even in the second stratum they weren't much of a threat. The real danger of the wave had only just begun to take shape and was yet to appear. It was the survivors, the winners, the monsters who, for whatever reason, were able to thrive in the mess of the dungeon. Be they newly spawned, fresh out of a wall, or perhaps had already secured a few evolutions. Be they newly spawned, fresh out of a wall, or perhaps had already secured a few evolutions under their belt before the wave got going, it was those creatures who would rapidly rise in power that would become a threat. Then, after that, would come the creatures from below. They hadn't had to experience it during the first wave. Apparently, the Legion had been holding off the beasties from the depths, unintentionally saving the colony a great deal of pain, perhaps even saving their lives. This time, there would be no such protection. The creatures from the third stratum would come screaming up from below and begin to batter the colony in earnest. It would take a little while before they arrived, but they would.
What's about there?
Sloane indicated a particular section of tunnel with an antenna. Victor leaned closer.
Feasible. We'll need to coordinate with the fortification teams and find carvers with a high level of defensive fortification skill and place them with each design group. These barricades cannot be weak. Good idea.
Sloane agreed.
I think we also need to ask the core shapers to take a greater role in the tunnels. The environment is perfect for them. They'll leap at the chance. With so many soldiers and scouts injured, it'd certainly take a load off our shoulders.
Victor sighed. The two of them were fatigued. The two of them were fatigued to a dangerous extent. It wouldn't surprise either of them if they were to be seized and dragged away at any moment, but they both refused to go for torpor until the bones of the strategy for tackling the wave had been constructed. QA Pete says, I don't want to spoil the books for me by listening to the live reads, but I want to thank you for the great work you and Annie do on them, and I'm incredibly excited work has begun on books 6 and 7. Thank you, QA Pete. The eldest had been right about this wave. The colony wasn't the same as it was the last time. The colony wasn't the same as it was the last time. There were well over 100,000 of them now. They were smarter, stronger, better prepared. If they moved fast, were smart, and gripped this chance tight. If they moved fast, were smart, and gripped this chance tight in their mandibles, they could come out of the other end in a far better position than they went in. All around, teams of generals dissected the dungeon layout and planned. Patrols, aggressive sweeps, defensive emplacements. They targeted areas that could be controlled, areas they could build in. They paid particular attention to areas with water sources or particularly high concentrations of mana. They paid particular attention to areas with water sources or particularly high concentrations of mana. Every expanse they'd encountered was being analyzed for their potential as a threat, but also as a resource. The largest farming operation in the history of the frontier kingdoms was beginning to take shape. All right, back to Anthony. Oops. Chapter 6. Charge toward evolution. I've been out here for hours and still haven't leveled up. Oops, here comes another one. 30 meters down the tunnel, the dirt bulges and crumbles away to reveal a newly spawned shadow crawler. Despite having 6 legs, I really can't approve of these things. Their faces look like a mosquito with a piercing snout almost a meter long. My mind's churn and a condensed fireball whizzes forward, smacking into the creature and detonating with a wave of heat that rolls all the way back to me, lighting up my antennae and drying out my eyeballs. Damn it.
You have defeated a level 1...
Yeah. A tier 1, level 1 enemy isn't going to do squat for me. It's pretty much not even worth the time to go and eat the biomass. I've seen a couple of monsters make their way up the tunnel who were rank 3, and I happily consumed them, but for the most part I've been content to let the masses of creatures have it out with each other. I've seen a couple of monsters make their way up the tunnel who were rank 3, and I happily consumed them, but for the most part, I've been content to let the masses of creatures have it out with each other, occasionally deploying the flamethrower-like fire magic to keep them away from the gate. Only twice has anything above tier 3 come close enough for Only twice has anything above tier 3 come close enough for me to fight. At least those battles were interesting. Despite the near-deafening noise of screaming, screeching and roaring, accompanied by the visually stimulating sight of hundreds of monsters fighting for dear life within eyeshot, I'm bored. Despite the near-deafening noise of screaming, screeching and roaring, accompanied by the visually stimulating sight of hundreds of monsters fighting for dear life within eyeshot, I'm bored. I'm so damn bored! All I'm doing is sitting here, picking on small fries whilst the colony goes insane working their abdomens off behind me. Already, the remains of the gate have been raised and sealed into place. The carvers are hard at work even now, guarded by teams of soldiers as they crawl all over the metal surface of the once mighty bulwark, doing whatever they can to repair the metal and the enchantments that were woven into the structure of the steel. I have to say, despite their best efforts, the gate looks like garbage. Huge rents, dents and tears are evident all over the... place, and the once mighty ant head carved into the surface is looking much worse for wear. If I'm being honest, it's so ugly it could pass for a centipede. I know that me being here is buying the colony precious time, and that it's valuable, but it's just not all that stimulating. Still, I remain. If I were to go do something else, they'd need to station a whole team of soldiers and scouts to replace me, and both of those casts saw massive casualties during the siege, and there are still thousands of injured who need time to get their legs back under them. And this is a wave, after all. I'm sure the inside of the nest is a complete mess, with soldiers on duty every 20 metres of tunnel and clinging to walls all around the chambers. Ah well, hopefully I'll be able to move on soon and do something a little more exciting. Being this close to my next evolution is tantalising. Evolving is such a massive boost of power for a monster, and I've been in my current form for quite a while. Evolving is such a massive boost of power for a monster, and I've been in my current form for quite a while. Amassing 80 levels is no easy feat, especially when I'm sharing a lot of experience with my pets and 20 bodyguards. Just thinking about what juicy options may appear is getting me excited. What body parts will I make mutable? What could I add to my perfect and ant form? So many questions. Even just planning out the possible stat distribution is exciting. Gah! I need to distract myself and think about something else. At least all this spare time has removed any excuse I might have had to continue avoiding my status. Trawling through the numbers has always been a bit of a pain, but it is pleasant to see the number of upgrades I've managed to accrue. Turns out, fighting non-stop for days on end is pretty helpful when it comes to levelling skills. Who'd have thunk it?
Name? Anthony. Level? 73. Rare.
I forget what the...
Rank 5. Might, 91. Toughness, 79. Cunning, 64. Will, 55. HP, 158 out of 158. MP, 330 out of 330. Skills. General. Expert Excavation, Level 20, Rank 3. Expert Grip, Level 9, Rank 3. Expert Stealth, Level 6, Rank 3. Tunnel Guide, Level 11, Rank 3. Iron Mind, Level 30, Rank 4. Master Stamina, Level 6, Rank 4. Still Meditation, Level 12, Rank 4. Snapdash, Level 11, Rank 4. Mana. Manacraft, Level 24, Rank 5. Master Condensed Mana, Level 18, Rank 4. Grand Master External Mana Manipulation, Level 16, Rank 5. Mana Hoarder, Level 22, Rank 4. Master Mind Magic Affinity, Level 20, Rank 4. Directed Mana Sensing, Level 4, Rank 4. Empowered Healing Magic Affinity, Level 14, Rank 3. Omni-Elemental Affinity, Level 4, Rank 5. Mana Masking, Level 5, Rank 1. Pet. Further Pet Communication, Level 7, Rank 3. Core Crafting, Level 13, Rank 4. Pet Growth Speed, Level 5, Rank 1. Defensive. Grandmaster Exoskeleton Defense. Grandmaster Exoskeleton Defense, Level 11, Rank 5. Master Dodge, Level 25, Rank 4. Master Endure, Level 6, Rank 4. Expert Grace, Level 14, Rank 3. Offensive. Unerring Acid Shot, Level 6, Rank 4. Master Precise Shooting, Level 23, Rank 4. Doom Chomp. Level 23, rank 5. Mutations. Senses. Heightened perimeter.
Ah, no. Here we go.
Senses. Heightened perimeter eyes. Heightened perimeter eyes. Plus. Heightened perimeter eyes. Plus 20. Far sight oracle antennae. Plus 25. Defense. Complete diamond carapace. Plus 25. Braced healing inner carapace plating. Plus 25. Physical. Hardened rapid osmotic legs. Plus 25. Mana-flooded mandibles, plus 25. Frequent potent regeneration gland, plus 25. Convincing pheromone gland, plus 20. Vast hungering stomach, plus 25. Lock hyper-twitch musculature, plus 25. Instant transmission subneural network, plus 20. Acid. Propagating mana-feasting bind acid gland, plus 25. Forceful scattershot acid nozzle. Forceful scattershot acid nozzle. Forceful scattershot acid nozzle. Plus 20. Robust weakening acid concentration gland. Plus 20. Rapid fatiguing acid stimulation gland. Plus 10. Mental. Unyielding coordination cortex. Plus 25. Mana. Unending gravity magic gland. Plus 20. Endless collective Endless collective will vestibule. Plus 25. Species. Juvenile colony paragon. Formica sapiens. Skill points 5. Biomass 80.
A lot of skill upgrades have come in, which cost me more than a small number of skill points. Fortunately, I managed to get enough levels throughout the siege to pay for them. All in all, my physical skills as well as my generic mana skills have seen a massive upgrade. One of the most impactful is probably the often underappreciated stamina skill, which has made it all the way up to rank 4. At this level, the knowledge of how to move and rest my body in order to minimize the expenditure of energy has seeped into the deepest crevices of my mind. Combined with the vestibule, it's this skill that allows me to fight for as long as I do. Grandmaster Exoskeleton Defense is likely what kept me alive during that final battle. Rank 5 skills are no joke, and my precision when shifting my body to best utilize my carapace has grown to a new height. Combined with the Endure skill, reaching rank 4, I was able to deflect, absorb, and otherwise tank a heck of a lot more damage than I otherwise would have. Although I didn't achieve too many rank ups in my magic skills, the levels are progressing nicely. When some of these skills hit rank 5, there will be a huge upgrade in my spellcasting capacity. With a few skill points in the bank and no fusions on the horizon, all I really need to worry about now is finalising my mutations and capping out my core before I'm ready to evolve. I'm getting pumped up! After hosing down a few more piddling monsters with blue flames, my reverie is waiting. After hosing down a few more piddling monsters with blue flames, my reverie of waiting is disrupted by an exhausted-looking Sloane. Hey, Sloane! You look rough! Be careful you don't get caught skipping torpor! The General waves a droopy antenna in dismissal. I'm so far gone, I'm sure they're on their way right now, she says. Besides, you're my last stop before I go get some rest. Aho! Does that mean you don't need me here on the gate anymore? Got another job that needs doing? Yes. Well, No. Sort of. Oh, I'm so damn tired. I give her a second to gather her thoughts as the weary ant literally sways on her legs. You're setting a bad example, Sloane. I know. We can hold the gates here now, and there really isn't anything that we need your help with urgently, except level up. We need you to evolve as quickly as possible in order to help us deal with the monsters from the third stratum when they come. That's a good call. That's a good call. Invidia is an example of a third stratum demon, albeit a finely crafted and powerful one. If a swarm of creatures on his level come charging through the tunnels, things will get really hairy, real fast. You just want me to charge off into the dungeon with my crew and try to level up? You sure about that? I ask, dubiously. That's the sort of thing I usually do when I'm trying to avoid my responsibilities. Now it turns out that's exactly what the council wants me to do. We're sure. Even more than that, we're going to start stockpiling biomass here at the nest for you. Get all the experience you can, as fast as you can. Once you reach level 80, come home and we'll make sure everything is ready for the evolution. Sounds good to me, Sloane. I'm off! Woo! By the time she finishes talking, I'm already gone, dashing through the monsters, littering the tunnel, and making my way around the nest to collect my pets. After bashing my head into the Legion for so long, I'm about ready to find someone my own size to pick on. Tier 6, here I come!
Amanda Pepper says, I think if I was recording this, it would take me a while to stop having a British accent. I've never really had that issue. I do have that issue, though, when I'm, narrating. Chapter 7. I Spied the Spider. Tiny is more than happy to abandon his post for something more exciting, and I think Chrysalis is just relieved she's be able... That's a typo. Tiny is more than happy to abandon his post for something more exciting, and I think Chrysalis is just relieved she's able to return to me without being... Tiny is more than happy to abandon his post for something more exciting, and I think Chrysalis is just relieved she's able to return to me without something dramatic occurring, such as me being sucked through a black hole and... Fuck. Tiny is more than happy to abandon his post for something more exciting, and I think Chrysalis is just relieved she's able to return to me without something dramatic occurring, such as me being sucked through a black hole into the 100th stratum, if that even exists. With the gang assembled, we set off into the deeper tunnels, and it rapidly becomes apparent that things are starting to heat up within the frozen spaces of the second stratum. Monsters are fighting everywhere. Shadow beasts in various states of evolution and all sorts of other critters fill every nook and cranny we come across, either fighting or consuming the biomass of the opponent in the fight they just won. When we slide close to an expanse, the number of monsters we run into climbs even higher until there's a full-on mob we need to physically push through to move forward. We aren't interested in getting into an expanse. I know how crazy those places get during a wave. All we want is the experience, which we take. Obviously. Between the four of us, tier 5 monsters. Invidia is already tier 6, but anyway. Between the four of us, tier 5 monsters. Invidia is already tier 6, but anyway. We're able to sweep away the opposition without too many issues. The only real problem is fatigue, since it's taking a fair bit of effort to scour the tunnels of hundreds of monsters, and the farther we move from the rest... Nope.
The only real problem is fatigue, since it's taking a fair bit of effort to scour the tunnels of hundreds of monsters, and the fuck me.
I think I enjoy narrating Carl just a little bit more. Winlow Hart asks, between Anthony and Carl, who do you enjoy narrating more? I just like Carl as a character so much. And actually, his voice is a little bit more of a challenge. And it's evolved more, you know. Anthony's a thrill, though. So it's a close one.
The only real problem is fatigue, since it's taking a fair bit of effort to scour the tunnels of hundreds of monsters, and the farther we move from the nest, the less power I receive from my vestibule. The only real problem is fatigue, since it's taking a fair bit of effort to scour the tunnels of hundreds of monsters, and the farther we move from the nest, the less power I receive from my vestibule. About halfway to our destination, we end up having to pull over for a break. I dig away a section of tunnel wall and seal it. I dig away a section of tunnel wall and seal it back over behind us so we can rest relatively free from the disturbance of the wave. It's been a long time since I've had to do that for all of us, and let me tell you, it is quite eye-opening just how much larger the chamber must be now that we've all evolved to this point. Cryness isn't much of an issue, being a blob that can compress herself, and obviously Nvidia keeps the vast bulk of his mass tucked away in a pocket dimension, but Tiny and I have become fairly sizable. Things have really changed. Damn it. Cryness isn't much of an issue, being a blob that can compress herself, and obviously Nvidia keeps the vast bulk of his mass tucked away in a pocket dimension, but Tiny and I have become fairly sizable. Things have really changed since he was little and used to ride around on my back. I did also have to make room for my 20 babysitters, since Protectant insisted they come in with us. Irritating! It does make me wonder, with the Tier 6 evolution coming up, just how large am I going to get? As large as the Queen? Maybe. It's going to be weird if I end up that size. Some of the tunnels won't even be large enough to contain me. I'll worry about that when it happens. After a very welcome and overdue period of torpor, I rouse the gang and we head out once more. I need experience, which means we need to find as many higher tier monsters as we possibly can, and I can remember one such creature we'd found who managed to escape my grasp. That's right, it's that darn mama spider. I hadn't wanted to pursue her into her cave of death last time, but I'm confident we can handle anything she might throw at us now. I hadn't wanted to pursue her into her cave of death last time, but I'm confident we can handle anything she might throw at us now. The time for the domination of the eight-legged is nigh! Down with the arachnid! Thanks to my tunnel map, I know exactly where that tunnel is located, and we make our way there, fighting every step of the way. Rather than dive into the expanse, we skirt around the edges until we locate the point I think is closest to the spider's lair from the outside. Of course, I'm going to dig through. Can you imagine fighting over those webs during a wave? No, thanks! Once I have a rough idea, I use my mana sense and get some help from Cryness to guide my efforts as I start digging down to where the lair is. Submerging myself within the ant zen, time passes swiftly, and before I know it, I can sense the looming manner of the spider boss somewhere in front. All right, team, time to put the plan into action. You know what to do?
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, so real quick, I need to go check what I forget what what's his name? What's his name? NVIDIA. I forget what NVIDIA sounds like. There he is. Okay, so it looks like I kind of forgot about this, but everyone's supposed to be in the thought track. Excuse me. Okay, so we need to make another thought track. Let's kill this. I think we're going to do this as well. Nope. Why is... Sorry guys, just had to correct a few things. Looking back at the last set, forgot that most dialogue goes into thought for this project. Raceland, got my brother looking into a vendor booth. What kind of merch should he try to make? Well, unfortunately, I think that our vendor booths are completely taken up. We closed sign-ups for that a while ago. But keep an eye out for next year.
Yes. Yes, Master. Good. Get ready. I reach within, ensuring all of my minds are working in concert on the task of bringing forth the dark purple mana that sits next to my core. More and more energy is extracted as I compact it until the most deadly spell I know has been formed. The gravity bomb is taking shape. Naturally, we retreat farther back down the tunnel to a safe distance, and though I don't think it will do much good, I do... Naturally, we retreat farther back down the tunnel to a safe distance, and though I don't think it will do much good, I do my best to mask the mana I condense. The spider will probably work out that we're coming, but if all goes according to plan, it won't be able to escape. Fire in the hole! So saying, I unleash the slowly rotating sphere of nigh-on black mana. The moment it impacts the end of my narrow tunnel, it expands to its full size and the horrifying pull makes itself known. Rock, earth and cobwebs fly into the singularity and are crushed and smashed to pieces. Despite being able to see the destruction, there's no sound other than the howling wind, as if what happened in the sphere occurred in another universe. We wait out the spell in grim silence until it flickers and vanishes. leaving behind rubble and a bowl of extremely dense detritus. Go! Get in there! I shout and immediately dash. Tiny and Nvidia.
Thunder.
Tiny and Nvidia are right behind me, with Chrysalis riding along on my carapace. There's a dense nest of webs woven onto the other side of the section of tunnel we blasted open.
Hey, what the fuck is that?
There's a dense nest of webs woven on the other side of the section of tunnel we blasted open. At least, it was dense. After the bomb, a huge section has been utterly obliterated. Nvidia! The demon lets his magic fly. Boom! Boom! A chain of explosions rock the tunnel ahead, blasting at the walls the spider has made her home. The webs are strong, super strong, to the point where a huge amount of effort is needed to destroy them. The rock that they rest on, however, is just plain old rock. Boom! Boom! Sections of tunnel wall collapse with a thunderous roar, dragging down the web and making a mess of what was only moments ago a spider paradise. That's right, Spider. All that you love shall be turned to ash. This is your punishment for the sin of too many legs! After a minute of destroying her nest and blocking the exit, the spider mama has had enough. With a deafening screech, another thunder. Lots of thunder. With a deafening screech, her bulbous form rockets out of the depths of her nest. With a deafening screech, her bulbous form rockets out of the depths of her nest and into our waiting arms. A deathly chill of poison spreads out from her abdomen as she appears, tainting in the air. A deathly chill of poison. A deathly chill of poison. Fuck, shit. I hate doing this. So, like, if I push a button, while I also have clicked into the script, it'll go all the way back to where my to where the cursor used to be, and I have to refine my spot. A deathly chill of poison spreads out from her abdomen as she appears, tainting the air and causing the micro hairs on my antennae to shrivel the moment she draws close. I knew this monster would have some tricks up her sleeve. Let's see if it's enough to save her. All right. Is this a third person or a first person? Yep, first person. All right. All right. Only 2 hours in. We're starting on Chapter 8. This is awesome. So, yeah, just wanted to remind you guys to go to soundbooth.app to find more of our cool stuff that we have available. Soundbooth is in full force trying to get into the audiobook distribution market and do more publishing for more people other than Soundbooth Theater. But for now, most of our stuff is still just Soundbooth Theater. And Athon does share a little bit of space with us, including with Garralosh.
the free short story that Annie Ellicott narrated that it shows the origins of the monster Garralosh from earlier in the series for Chrysalis. So if you haven't already, go pick that up for free. It's about 40 minutes of free audio. And investigate what else we have there. We have the Dungeon Crawler Carl Audio Immersion Tunnel, which is a reboot of the entire series. It's just season 1, which is just book 1. It's 8 episodes long. First episode is also free on there, and that's full cast sound effects and music. Although I still retain the voices of Carl, Donut, the AI, and Mordecai, almost everybody else in the cast has been replaced by other Soundbooth theater actors. Also, the music is amazing. The music was a great time to compose. We had so many great composers working on it. And at LitRPG Con this year, that is July 18th through 20th in Denver, Colorado, at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, we will be selling 250 double LPs of the original soundtrack for the Dungeon Crawler Carl Audio Immersion Tunnel. It's going to be awesome, so don't miss it, guys. If you haven't heard of LitRPG Con yet, go to litrpgcon.com to see all the different guests we're going to have. I'll be there. Matt Dinneman's going to be there. Andy Parsnow is going to be there. Travis Baldry's going to be there. Aileron Kong, Jez Kajiao, Dakota Kraut, James Hunter, Heath Miller, Michael Chatfield. Who else? Fucking everybody. Fucking everybody is going to be there. So do not miss out on the very first LitRPG convention dedicated specifically to you, readers and listeners of this genre. LitRPGcon.com, don't forget. Mr. Jenner, we are accepting independents right now. So email Jacob at soundbooth.app and let him know you're looking for a place to publish.
Chapter 8. Seizing the Levels.
All right, we need to duplicate this.
In truth, the establishment of the core shapers by the eldest proved over time to be a masterstroke. At first, there were many who decried the resources being sent to the cast instead of being used to nourish the next generation. As hard-working and talented as Elegant and Bella were in those early days, they lacked skill levels, expertise, and the raw statistical power required for complex shaping. Core shaping. The core shapers were a sinkhole of precious cores, the most important commodity to the colony, as they were needed to fuel evolutions, and there were never anywhere close to enough to satisfy the colony's needs. Some postulate that the lasting damage done by the shapers draining cores at this time had a much larger carry-on effect than may have been seen on the surface, but I personally doubt it. The council was strict with resources allocation then, just as they are now. Bella and Ellie were forced to work miracles with the pittance they were given, raising their caste up with nothing more than scraps and fumes. Eventually, the core shapers rose to a place of prominence, and their contributions could no longer be denied by even the most strident of critics. They were able to take risks with their pets that ants could not, were able to adapt to any environment or conditions by changing out their followers, able to range far on their own, relying on their defenders to protect them. The number of cores brought back to the colony through out-of-territory resource collection missions is a staggering figure, one that most colony members are totally unaware of. Lone core shapers braved the dangers of the dungeon on their own or in small teams, venturing outside of colony territory and battling hard to bring back precious materials. It is a lesson in long-term planning that only the eldest had the reach to see and the wisdom to undertake. No step that they undertook in the formation of the early colony failed to bear tremendous fruit down the line.
Excerpt from On the Casts by Historiant. It's raining. By the way, guys, I'm going to a Primus and a Perfect Circle concert tonight in Omaha. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. I've seen Primus and or Les Claypool live at least 10 times. And this is the first time in like many years, actually. So I'm fucking excited. Oh, haven't checked on the Instagram people in a while. What's up, Ron? Obviously love the voice work. I will get to listening to the other series soon. Thank you. When can we expect DCC Book 2 audio immersion tunnel tape? I don't know about the tape, but we're releasing the digital version later this year. Might be late this year, the way things are going, because we're pretty behind. I listened to the first immersion episode, so is there an app for Soundbooth, or is it distributed from the site? Both. You can listen to it on the site, or you can listen to it on the app. It's on Apple, it's on iOS and Android. Okay. Sarah Wingolter. OMG, you are human. I figured you never made mistakes. I make tons of mistakes. Mistakes, like getting a donut tattoo on his peach, says She Sorry Custom Guitars. Donut tattoo anywhere is never a mistake, says Sarah Wingolter. Ben Bounds, hey Jeff, what are you doing? I'm narrating. He's not being lazy, that's what he's doing. For the colony! Oh man, I wish I could watch, I'm streaming on YouTube as well, Ron. I wish I could watch the Instagram comments in the same page, but I can't, unfortunately. Yeah, it's me, my girlfriend, Ryan Reed, and Ethan Zolator, an author friend of ours. It's gonna be fun.
The spider is mad. Real mad. A natural response to having her secret nest invaded and subjected to repeated explosions. It's only going to get worse for you, Spider. I'm not leaving until I get that sweet, sweet experience. According to our plan, Tiny stays at a distance and blasts the spider with every ounce of lightning he has, a dissatisfied expression written plainly on his face. You want to punch the poisonous death spider that much? You idiot. Chrysalis extends her limbs from the shadows, making calculated strikes against the spider's legs, while Nvidia continues to detonate the surrounding rock, collapsing the web and diluting the home ground advantage of our adversary. For my part, I bite and blast with fire, doing whatever else I can to occupy the attention of this high-tier beast. The spider's shrieks of rage rise to an all-new crescendo, and The spider's shrieks of rage rise to an all-new crescendo, and if I could stuff my antennae into my ears, I would. Instead, I bite all the harder. Doom Trump! My muscles snap with immense power, sending the black jaws through the air so fast I can no longer see them move. Despite her immense bulk, the spider moves with surprising grace, and she manages to sway to the side, avoiding my bite by the slightest of margins. She bares her fangs, striking with blinding quickness. My antennae have already tingled a warning to me. My antennae have already tingled a warning to me, and my reflexes pay off, allowing me to skip backward out of her range. Her bite skill appears to be weaker than mine. The range and power aren't nearly as devastating as my own Doom Chomp. Although, I can't rule out that it's all a bluff. This spider is sneaky and intelligent. I can't trust anything at face value. She probably wants me to think, oh, this is a pathetic excuse of a bite. I can tank this, no problem. Then, when I stand in front of her, not dodging like an idiot, her true strike will reveal itself and stab through my heart in a second. I'm on to you, spider. Maybe I'm overthinking, but I don't think so. This spider is clearly capable of producing powerful poison and even an aura of death. I refuse to believe her fangs are just for show. Remaining cautious, I snap and bite at the bulbous monster and keep her on the back foot while the rest of my team piles on the damage. Chrysalis uses her barbed limbs to twist and grab at every leg she can grasp, wrenching and tearing into the armour covering the arachnid's limbs. Tiny unleashes wave after wave of electric energy, roasting the huge monster with blue lightning, his face growing more and more disgruntled. Invidia weaves his magical mastery, as usual, his flawless execution on display as he controls his mana with perfection. Man, must be nice to be tier 6. I can't wait! Damn spider, give me my experience! The fight enters into a brief stalemate as the spider continues to bait and lunge whilst we... Fuck! Did it again. Stupid script. The fight enters into a brief stalemate as the spider continues to bait and lunge whilst we maintain our vigil of wearing it down. 4 against 1. We don't need to be the ones to take any risks here. In the end, it's Tiny who breaks the deadlock by growing so impatient that he goes against the plan and decides to start swinging. I can see on his face, for the moment... he cracks, the irritation and anger piled up until he unleashes a deep bellow, cutting off the lightning and leaping forward with his fists bared. Stupid ape! How many times are you going to try and get yourself killed? Tiny has gotten too comfortable getting into the thick of the fight since he got his armour, and he's no... Tiny has gotten too comfortable getting into the thick of the fight since he got his armour, as he's no longer such a glass cannon that he'd get shattered from the slightest blow. That doesn't mean you're going to be safe, you moron! Just as I suspected, the spider has been hiding her true strength. The moment Tiny comes close enough to unleash his fist, she darts in, her entire body suddenly blurred as if wreathed in illusion, her fangs gleaming with a deadly cold light. Not expecting this sudden burst of speed, Tiny's punch flies over the spider's head as her fangs reach toward him, poison dripping from the tips. Boom! Invidia to the rescue. Gandalf and his luminous beard bless that little eyeball. Before the spider can close on the bat-faced ape, 2 things happen. First, a multi-layered shield springs up between them, which the monster crunches into, significantly slowing her charge when she breaks through. And second, an explosion detonates just underneath the spider, lifting her body into the air and robbing her of her grip on the floor. Chance! Even Tiny seizes upon this moment to deliver a devastating uppercut straight into the ominous fangs of the arachnid, shocking the monster. It's the prelude to the end as I dash forward, my jaws at the ready. Crunch! The Doom Chomp strikes home, and the giant spider simply cannot resist its penetrating power. After a few twitches, the fight is done.
You have gained XP.
Gweh! It's a great way to end a chapter.
Oh, speaking of the tattoo, I want to see... Dude, they've really promoted the shit out of this thing. 256,000 views on that YouTube video. All right. Time is it? So I will have to go here pretty soon because we got to get ready. Got to get ready for leaving for the concert. Oops, dropped my cap. Might get out of here 1:30 or something. Looked at a video of my tush, Mr. Jenner. Chapter 9, 80 Achieved. The death of the spider, along with all the cleaning my pets and I had done on our journey, is enough to push me to level 76, tantalizingly close to the goal. I'm keen to get back out hunting for experience, but the remains of the big spider are right in front of us, and I refuse to let biomass go to waste. This is a tier 6 monster after all. The four of us dug in, and a short time later, all signs that the arachnid had been here at all are gone, vanished without a trace. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. I decide I can spare a little time and explore the rest of the tunnel in which we'd fought. There's a chance that hideous creature had some good stuff hidden in here. Perhaps a biomass store tucked away in a cupboard, or some cores that we could cite. There's a chance that hideous creature had some good stuff hidden in here. Perhaps a biomass store tucked away in a cupboard, or some cores that we could seize upon. Instead, I find something a little disheartening. At the end of the tunnel, bundled tight in protective webs, are eggs. Hundreds of eggs. After the colony had swept through and depopulated the area, it's clear that the spider mama was determined to re-establish the dominance of her family over the stratum in which we found them. After the colony had swept through and depopulated the area, it's clear that the spider mama was determined to re-establish the dominance of her family over the stratum in which we found them. Although it brings me no joy, I can't allow these spiders to hatch and compete with the colony. So I get Nvidia to destroy them. I copped out all right. I don't want to go around destroying eggs. With the deed done, I make sure Chrysalis grabs the core, and we back out into the regular tunnels and start sweeping our way deeper. The longer the wave goes on, the faster... The longer the wave goes on, the faster the monsters will spawn, and already they're piling up. From what I understand after talking to Granin and the others, the mana never returned to normal levels after the first wave, which is highly unusual. What's even more unusual is having waves this close together. According to the Shapers, this may point to something rather nasty occurring. According to the Shapers, this may point to something rather nasty occurring when we're... According to the Shapers, this may point to something rather nasty occurring where we experience a series of waves, each longer and...
According to the Shapers, this may point to something rather nasty occurring where we experience a series of waves, each longer and more potent than the last. If that's the case, the colony has little choice but to level up as fast as possible if we're going to survive. We've grown to the point we can handle the second stratum well enough, but what about monsters from the third or fourth? If a wave is strong enough and long enough, then they're going to get here eventually. In fact, they're going to get here right about now. After burning my way through a mass of tentacled shadow monsters, my pets and I find ourselves standing in a strangely clear section of tunnel that ought to be occupied by fighting monsters. Instead, we've come upon signs of a recent battle and the rather obvious remains from some creature messily eating what was left of their foes. Not a great sign. Following the tunnel around a corner, we come face to face with the culprit, who strikes me rather immediately as not being a shadow creature. The monster has 4 grotesquely muscled limbs that end in hardened, flesh-coloured points. The body is a bloated, constantly writhing mass of pink. The body is a bloated, constantly writhing mass of pink something, while its head appears to be little. The body is a bloated, constantly writhing mass of pink something, whilst its head appears to be little but a mouth. It finishes its battle against a large shadow centipede by leaping with incredible speed and landing on all fours, one of the forelimbs spearing the arthropod straight through. Not even waiting for the creature to pass away, the hideous monster shrieks a piercing, rage-filled scream and starts tearing into the centipede with that enormous mouth, its spear-like limbs dug deep into the floor. What the heck is that thing? NVIDIA? Any idea what this is?
I have never seen it before. I have never seen it before.
Are you sure? It sure as heck doesn't look like something from this stratum. It must be from the third. That's your home, isn't it?
I have no memories of that place. I have no memories before you reconstituted me.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, a demon isn't considered fully grown until it reaches tier 6, like the eyeball has. So this thing is tier 5 at most? Yikes. It's larger than me already, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be able to drive one of those damn pointy hands it has straight through me like... It's larger than me already, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be able to drive one of those damn pointy hands it has straight through me, just like it did to that shadow creature. That's exactly the sort of weapon best suited to penetrating my That's exactly the sort of weapon best suited to penetrating my diamond carapace. It's like a sword versus armour back in the ancient days. It's like a sword versus armour back in the ancient days. Someone wearing plate armour Someone wearing plate armour or even chainmail is not going to get cut if you slash them with a blade. They just won't. If you had a big enough sword, you might be able to bash your way into breaking some bones or getting a cut in, but generally speaking, the way you used a sword against armour was to stab. You puncture through the protective layer by putting the maximum amount of pressure on the smallest point, piercing like a needle. It's almost as if this damn demon was designed to perforate my precious diamond coating. I won't allow it! Take it down all with extreme prejudice! Tiny doesn't need to be told twice, eagerly leaping in as Chrysalis slinks through the shadows. Not wanting to have the experience stolen from me, I instruct Nvidia not to go on the offensive and instead focus on protection and healing duties. For my part, I spam gravity bolts in the hopes of slowing it down, keeping one wary eye on each of those 4 limbs. The monster screams that piercing, outraged shriek, and every time it shifts its position, the legs rise out of the stone floor and then pierce back through like the ground was jelly. It makes moving a little awkward for the monster since it has to send almost half a limb into the floor before it can find purchase, but it just muscles through the problem and proves remarkably fast as it repositions to meet our assault. 4 against 1, Big Mouth! You haven't got a hope! Tiny dances forward, light on his feet with his hands raised, ready to strike. Once he finds his range, he peppers the creature with blindingly fast lifts. The tight, compact punches are so unlike what I've gotten used to from the giant ape that I almost... Fuck! Did it again. The tight, compact punches are unlike what I've gotten used to from the giant ape that I almost... The tight, compact punches are so unlike what I've gotten used to from the giant ape that I almost stumble in place. Has he ranked up his ape boxing skill? What is this textbook orthodox boxing style? That's it, Tiny! Master the left! Master the world! Master the left! Master the world! With each impact of the light exploding from Tiny's fists, the monster is knocked off balance, and its anger builds to a terrifying crescendo. I don't think it's taking much damage from the blizzard of punches, but it's finding it hard to move out from... With each impact of the light exploding from Tiny's fists, the monster is knocked off balance, and its anger builds to a terrifying crescendo. I don't think it's taking much damage from the blizzard of punches, but it's finding it hard to move out from under the pinning assault. Not one to back down from an opportunity, I pepper the beast with a few more gravity bolts as I close the distance with a snap dash, my form blurring from the high-speed maneuver. Not one to back down from an opportunity, I pepper the beast with a few more gravity bolts as I close the distance with a snap dash, my form blurring from the high-speed maneuver. When I'm close enough to engage my doom tromp, I notice Chrysalis' arrival, a forest of her dark limbs twisting out of the shadows on the floor to wrap themselves around the demon's legs and beginning to saw away at the tightly packed muscle. Assaulted from all sides, there isn't much the poor demon can do to resist as we continuously chomp away at its health. That grotesque mouth constantly snaps and bites, and I almost lose an antenna when it extends its jaw a metre out of its face. Who ever heard of an extendable jaw? What the heck? Once we finish it off, the experience is enough to push me up another level.
You have defeated a level 31 Euvenus Avarita demon.
Euvenus Avarita. Okay, of military age, Euvenus. Okay, Avarita. Greed or avarice.
You have defeated a level 31 Euvenus Avarita demon. You have gained XP. You have reached level 77. 1 skill point awarded.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! 3 levels to go, baby! We chomp away at the biomass, and I take a moment to study the profile, curious to learn more about the demons.
Uvinus Avarita demon. Young avarice demon. Perpetually hungry, always angry, and spoiling for a fight. Beware the destructive power of the hardened flesh spears that tip its limbs.
An avarice demon, huh? Nasty. Once we finish our meal, we scoop the core and continue to hunt, finding a few more of the avarice demons prowling the tunnels, crushing everything they find. After we clear out all that we can... After we clear out all that we can find over the next few hours, I finally reach my target.
You have reached level 80. 1 skill point awarded. Maximum level reached. You may now use the evolution menu.
Woo! Next chapter. I want to thank everybody so much again for coming and hanging out with me while I narrate this audiobook. I'm just so excited to be back into the Chrysalis groove. I will be doing, at least 4 more cold reads, and they might not all happen this week. Definitely one tomorrow. I'm planning to start maybe 11 Central. Might be noon Central. So that'll be a 3-hour one. Thursday I'll be able to do one, but it'll be later in the evening because I have other morning plans. Friday I should be able to start around noon Central as well. So watch out for more cold read streams. So be sure to subscribe to this channel to make sure you get notifications for when these are going on or when they're being announced. Make sure to subscribe to the Soundbooth Theater newsletter on our website, soundbooth.app. And make sure to check out what we have as independent distributors. There's plenty of stuff that we've done that's available for free as well. First episodes of a lot of our cinematic experiences, including stuff from Matt Dinneman, the Dungeon Crawler Carl Audio Immersion Tunnel, Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, stuff from Shemer Kuznets, Earth Force, stuff from Neven Ilyev. We have Scaft, Small Chests Are Fine Too, which is a spin-off of Everybody Loves Large Chests, and The Stars Have Eyes, which is a completely different story that, in my opinion, is even better than Everybody Loves Large Chests. And tons and tons of other stuff on our platform, even, stuff that's brand new that just came out last week. The first episode of A Wrinkle in Crime came out. It's called Pluck and Cover. It's about a zombie cosmetologist, and what he does is he does makeup for Hollywood, and he's a zombie, so he's really good at makeup, at making himself look like a normal person. But he runs into some trouble and starts sleuthing purely by accident. And it's a great time. Ryan Reed did an amazing job narrating it, and he's backed up by Jessica Threet, who's also a new addition to the Soundbooth Theater team, but a very, very welcome one. She's been astounding in everything that she's done. I'm also in it, and so is Justin Thomas James. So if you haven't already, go pick up that first episode of J.D. Black Rose's Pluck and Cover. And, that's it. Let me get on to Chapter 10. Chapter 10. All You Can Eat. With the level milestone achieved, I take a break to celebrate and high-five, with Antani, the team. Then we begin to journey back to the nest. With the wave in full swing, we end up having to re-sweep most of the tunnels, as the empty spaces are either taken up by monsters who spawned elsewhere, or freshly spawned monsters already jumping out of the walls again. It's hard to imagine, but I think it was It's hard to imagine, but I think I was actually starting to forget just how tiring the wave was. Just getting through these totally normal tunnels is an exhausting slog of fight after fight. The moment we deal with one monster, another one comes screaming out of a side tunnel. It's almost as if the heightened mana levels make the monsters nuts, as well as drives the spawn rate to ridiculous heights. It could just be the fact that there's no opportunity for monsters to carve out their own space and settle into some territory, which causes them to be whipped up into a mindless rage. Whatever the case, by the time we make it back to the nest, the 4 of us, as well as my 20 unseen observers, are all thoroughly tired and done with the dungeon for the time being. All in all, it took a little over 3 days to travel and secure the levels I need to evolve. It's pretty obvious just how busy the colony has been. The gates alone have seen a massive improvement. The fortifications are positively bristling with ants ready to defend the entrance to the nest. If they manage to repair the acid pool, there shouldn't be too many issues holding off monsters, although if more powerful demons show up, things might get hairy. Before we enter, I turn to face the empty space above my head. "Protect Ant! You need to get out here for a chat." Silence. "You could just talk to the air." "You could just talk to the air. I would rather not show myself." Her scent creeps up to my antennae from... Her scent creeps up to my antennae from nowhere. It's weird trying to hold a conversation with someone I can't see. Just get out here. With her usual sulky disposition, Protect Ant reveals herself and drops from the roof to come into view. "What can I do for you, eldest? I'd like to remind you that we are supposed to be a secret protection detail. You make our jobs harder when you constantly reveal our existence. Hey, I don't feel any real need to make your lives more difficult, but you need to adjust to have a little more flexibility than what the council demanded of you. All of their nonsense went out the window the minute I worked out you exist. All of their nonsense went out the window the moment I worked out you exist." I stare down at the much smaller elite ant, but she makes a point of turning her head to face past me. Still don't want to give up on the mission, eh? What's a pain. All right. All right, I'll get down to business then. I'm going to be spending the next few days finalising my evolution. It's going to take at least 2 days, maybe as much as a week. I was asleep for a long time during the last one, so who knows this time? Not me, that's for sure. "And we will watch over you, as always?" "Nope, not as always. I don't need protection while I'm evolving." "Nope, not as always. I don't need protection when I'm evolving. I'll be in the middle of the nest for good..." Nope, not as always. I don't need protection when I'm evolving. I'll be in the middle of the nest, for goodness sake. What could possibly happen to me in there? I'll have my pets watching over me just in case anything happens. Having more security than that is nonsensical. You and your 19 sisters are going to use this time to power up. What? She says, aghast. You want us to abandon the mission completely? You won't keep any of us with you? They're dedicated, I'll give them that. No! After I evolve, I'm going to be Tier 6. We've had this conversation before. If you can't... We've had this conversation before. If you 20 can't keep up with me, then you can hardly protect me from something I can't defeat myself. I need every one of you to max out your cores and mutations and prepare for special evolutions. Every one of you needs to be Tier 5 by the time this wave ends. If you want to make sure you're ready to protect me, then any Tier 5 members can return to guard duty once I've finished evolving, but only up to a maximum of 5. The rest of you stick together until... every last one of you has achieved a perfect Tier 5. You hear me? This is an order. I really don't like to boss around the other ants. I'm just not comfortable with telling them what to do. But these 20 are only going to get themselves killed. I really don't like to boss around the other ants. I'm just not comfortable with telling them what to do. But these 20 are only going to get themselves killed if they don't power up, and they won't take time to level up and mutate if I don't force them to. Even if they don't accept my logic, they can't refuse a direct command. Even if they don't accept my logic, they can't refuse a direct command and protect ants positive. Even if they don't accept my logic, they can't refuse a direct command and protect ant positively wilt under my omnidirectional glare. It will be done as you command, eldest.
Oh, Stars Have Eyes is about 15 hours, Broken Joker. It's just the first episode that's quick.
She mutters, then vanishes once again. With that unpleasant conversation dealt with, I head into the nest to find a small welcoming... With that unpleasant conversation dealt with, I head into the nest to find a small, welcoming party waiting on the other side. Granin, Tarina, and Corin are present, as well as... Florence and Victor. I'm especially surprised to see the brood tender away from the young... where she spends essentially all of her time when she isn't in a meeting. Hello all! I greet everyone with a combination of pheromones and mind magic. I didn't expect you to welcome me back at the gates. How are things in the nest? Everything is fine, Victor assures me. Our plans are already well advanced, and our defences here and in the satellite nests have been established. That's right, Florence happily agrees. And the hatchlings have been able to enter the academy and begin their proper training. The school has already begun a massive expansion project to accommodate the boosted numbers, but we are confident we can complete the task. Man, the brood tenders are by far the most soothing caste, always cheerful and upbeat. They work just as hard as everyone else, don't get me wrong, but they all seem to share the same calm and happy aura that Florence and They work just as hard as everyone else, don't get me wrong, but they all seem to share the same calm and happy aura that Florence and Theresant have. Teresant. They work just as hard as everyone else, don't get me wrong, but they all seem to share the same calm and happy aura that Florence and Teresant have. Well, that's great. Well, that's great. I switch back to speaking to everyone. What brings you guys here? What brings you guys here? What brings you guys here? Granin steps forward and looks to Victor. The ant nods, and Granin's voice rings out in my mind.
The ants are getting ready. The ants are getting ready to take you straight to the biomass store they've set up for you. The council has been taking my advice about selecting a few members to nurture into high-tier powerhouses to shore up your strength, and you are the first to get the fast road treatment. The colony is going to provide all the biomass and... The colony is going to provide all the biomass and cores you need now that you've... The colony is going to provide all the biomass and cores you need now that you've hit level 80. I wanted to tag along with my triad so we could advise and discuss your options whilst you eat.
Makes sense, I suppose. Lead the way. The nest was abuzz with activity when I left, and is completely the same now. There were ants everywhere doing goodness knows how many different tasks. In every chamber and at regular intervals down the tunnels, there are soldiers and scouts on guard, ready to leap upon any monster that spawns from the mana-dense walls. Even the automated messages from the walls are on point. Even the automated messages from the walls are on point. The wave is upon us! I get blasted from a nearby unit and taken by surprise. Work hard to secure the future of the colony! Take regular torpor breaks! Nice to see that last bit hasn't been dropped. My siblings need to rest. We arrive in a smallish chamber, and two things jump out. At me about it. First is the massive pile of biomass that has tiny drooling. Second is the total lack of mana veins on the walls. You guys actually figured it out! I'm shocked and delighted. I think this is supposed to be Granin who talks next.
The mage researchers did great work, and now the inner areas of the nest have already been converted. This place is close to the brood chambers and was prepared for your evolution. It wasn't much extra effort considering the work that was already being done.
Holy moly. They figured this out in the nick of time.
All right then, Anthony.
Granin breaks in.
Get to eating. We have a lot to talk about.
The three Golgari grab a seat and make themselves comfortable whilst they watch me, somewhat impatiently, since I'm hesitating. With a vast internal sigh, I move over to the biomass and start to eat. What's first then? I say.
All right, guys, and that will be it for me for today's cold read. Again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I got through 10 whole chapters today. Pretty great. 29 pages altogether. And I think tomorrow I'll be going even faster, and hopefully I can get an extra hour in. We'll see if I can start at 11 a.m. CT. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you for coming. If you want to support Soundbooth Theater, if you want to support me, if you want to support all the authors that we work with, go to soundbooth.app and you can find tons of new stuff that you can't even find on Audible. And some stuff you can. And see what else we have to offer. Audible is the biggest library of audiobooks out there, but we still have a few tricks up our own sleeves. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, like this video, and make sure that notifications are turned on so that you will be notified when I set up the next cold read. There should be at least 4 more for this one. We have 504 pages total. I just did 30. Let's see. 150 pages is 30%. So yeah, 5 cold reads should just about do it. But yeah, should be one a day this week. Should be one a day this week. They'll be scattered as far as what time I start, but just watch out for those notifications. And yeah, for the last time, go to litrpgcon.com to see if you can grab a ticket to our LitRPG convention. That starts July 18th. It goes through the 20th. There's a few tickets left. Unfortunately, there's nothing left in the hotel block, but I know there's plenty of hotels surrounding the Grand Hyatt that you could also check into. Or if you're a local in Denver, I guess it's not a problem for you. Anyway, litrpgcon.com. Come see us. Me, Matt Dinneman, Andy Parsnow, Annie Ellicott, Justin Thomas James, Travis Baldry, Dakota Kraut, James Hunter, Jez Kajiao, Aileron Kong. The list goes on and on. Just go to litrpgcon.com for the full list, and you can see who you might be missing out on. All right, guys, you have a good rest of your day, and hope to see you tomorrow.